Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Witchy Work Wishes. I am your host, Charlene, and today you're joining me for episode number 35, where I am jumping into the background and traditions of the Summer Solstice and Litha. I have some fun ways at the end that we can bring this energy into our jobs and office too. But first, I always like to start with 3 things I did over the weekend to help with my witchcraft practice. So the weekend before was all about the animals, which I loved, but this past weekend, was all about plants and flowers. I grabbed my wallet and headed to my local nursery and stocked up on I got catnip, blackheart plants, lavender plants, a handful of seasonal flowers that were in full bloom, which is instant gratification, of course, for my garden. But with that came, a bunch of weed pulling and mowing the lawn, watering, and just being outside with Mother Earth. I did, and I'm super excited, I did order some fairy lights that are, powered by the sun, along with a solar-powered water pump, so the birds and wildlife can stay hydrated during the hot summer months that are coming up. So it's fun. Little by little, my garden is coming together. I did also go back to my Oracle animal deck and thought about the upcoming week. I pulled the turkey spirit, which says, give with gratitude and grace. The turkey spirit message for you is that you always have the potential for manifesting a rich reality, for the turkey represents generosity and a celebration of abundance. Give freely without expectation, and you shall receive, for the manifestation of abundance is happening right now. This card seems very fitting with all of the, positive energy I've been feeling and that sense of lightness. So I think it's a really good time to share all of this with everyone. So speaking of energy, I was so buzzed up from the essential oil episode last week that I actually booked a private party for me and some close friends with Kathy. So we will get a hands-on experience and be able to sample some of her oils right there in her shop. I can't wait. With summer quickly approaching, the heat is coming. And I'm absolutely not a hot weather person. Just the opposite. I really do believe there are a bunch of ways to naturally get warm, and I find it generally much easier to do so. But when it's hot, there are very few natural ways to cool down. So one of her tips was, mixing drops of essential peppermint oil with water for kind of like a cool down mist. And that is something I will be actively using over the next couple months. Even so, though, we're coming into the months where I personally slow down. I'm just not as active during the heat and not outside as much as I normally am. But, maybe with some better tools to deal with the temperatures and a more comfortable backyard to relax in, I'll find myself enjoying summer more than I usually do. We'll see. So the moon this week, she's gearing up for a special weekend. It's a dark moon on Saturday and a new moon on Sunday. What's the difference? Well, the dark moon is really when the moon is at 0%. The energy can be felt a couple days before the new moon starts. It's kind of a place of unknown, like a void or a blank canvas. It's a place where we can dream and have visions, but not know exactly what they mean. Nothing here during this time is absolute. It's more of a time to think about what has maybe previously happened and transition into the next phase, that new moon and all that starting over type energy or starting fresh. So during a dark moon, it really is kind of just about being, just being, accepting the darkness and letting your mind wander. Pay attention to your daydreams on Saturday. Where does your mind go when it's left to move freely? On Sunday with a new moon, think about it. What messages did you get? What should you have on your new to-do list for the coming new moon cycle? Maybe you can think about what's on your to-do list for Litha. It's coming up. The 21st of June is right around the corner, and that means it's summer solstice time and Litha. So I'm going to grab my podcast notes, and I will be right back so we can jump right into Litha and the summer solstice. Okay, I am back, and I have today's podcast broken down into 3 areas. I've got, what the summer solstice is, a little history on it, how Litha is practiced in our craft, and then bringing the solstice and Litha energy into our jobs and office and what we can do on the 21st. So let's start with the summer solstice and how it all began. We are in the month of June, and with that comes the longest day of our year, happening in 2023 on Wednesday, June 21st. And since this is the longest day of the year with daylight, and therefore the shortest day of the year with night, each day after begins to shift the other way. It is the astronomical start of summer. Now, solstice is from the Latin word sol, or sun, and it was known that at this point of the year, the sun reached the top of the northern point and started tracking down south again as the days began to shorten. This was also a great marker for planning on the harvesting of crops and how much longer they needed to wait to do so. So this holiday is part of the pagan Wheel of the Year, which has 8 celebrations, 4 of which are festivals and 4 are seasons. The 4 festivals are Imbolc, Beltane, Lunasa, and Samhain, and the 4 seasons, specifically related to where the sun is located, are spring equinox, summer solstice, autumn equinox, and winter solstice. The Celtic, Germanic, and Slavic pagans celebrated the summer solstice, or what they called midsummer, with fire, specifically bonfires. They used the energy of fire to help fuel the sun so it would keep shining on their crops all summer long and give them big, plentiful harvests in the fall. The Vikings used this midsummer time kind of as a halfway point in their year to resolve any running disputes that might be lingering and work out important matters. Now, early Europeans had a tradition of setting a large wheel on fire, no kidding, it's a huge wheel, and roll it down a hill into water. So the wheel represented the sun, and as it rolled down the hill, it mimicked, drawing less and less and the summer months ending. Now, the famous Stonehenge structure is formed in such a way that on the summer solstice, the rays of light fall directly in the center of it. So Litha is about the Oak King and the Holly King switching power. Back with Yule, we had the Oak King ruling. Now it is said that, each year these 2 kings battle it out because they each want the crown. But basically 6 months of the year, the Holly King rules, and 6 months of the year, the Oak King rules. And right now with Litha, the Holly King has won the crown and will be ruling. The summer solstice also marks the transition into Cancer season. And if you know any Cancers, you know what this means. Cancers are a very caring sign. They are sensitive and very, very intuitive. They love unconditionally and are extremely supportive. Now, they can be a bit moody. They are, in fact, directly connected to the moon, which is all about our emotions. They can be dependent and tend to keep, very close tabs on the ones they love. They are the eternal family members and take pride in their home. Now, most Cancers do have trust issues, and if something bad does happen, they will never forget it. Ever. They will forgive, but they won't forget. So things typically important to a Cancer are, being real. They don't like a lot of drama. Keeping your space. Now, if you are invited into their shell or their home, then you're in. Like you're a part of the family. Otherwise, mind their privacy and their space. Cancers are more of the, actions speak louder than words type people, and they will almost always find out the truth. They can sense danger coming on and will often have premonitions. Honestly, their intuition is just very, very strong. Now, many also have close attachments and ties to animals and are generally very good, true, and loving nurturers of our world. All right, what are some of our core traditions and activities for the summer solstice? So our colors are going to be red, blue, orange, yellow, green, and gold. Crystals and stones will be carnelian, emerald, jade, tiger's eye, citrine, peridot, sunstone, garnet, and ruby. Now, I'm trying personally myself to get more versed on all these stones and crystals and their amazing energy. So normally I would just kind of list these off, but I'm going to tie in the energy for each one just so I can start to remember what goes with what. So ruby, now this is a beautiful red stone and it is all about protection. I think I mentioned rubies back with the crow and raven magic. It also brings a bunch of strength energy. Carnelian, this is a reddish crystal that brings the energy of confidence into our workings. Emerald is a green stone, perfect for good luck and harmony. So is jade. It's also a lucky green stone and used for prosperity and harmony. Tiger's eye is a crystal that has beautiful brown tones in it and brings the energy of protection and power. Citrine is kind of a wonderful gold-colored crystal that is good for abundance and dream manifestation. Peridot is a really light, bright green crystal that is all about harmony and growth. Sunstone, we can use this one for courage and happiness. And garnet, we can use for energy of self-worth and healing. So our herbs and flowers for solstice and Litha are going to be the daisy, lavender, sunflowers, and more sunflowers, rosemary, chamomile, cinnamon, yarrow, and roses. We also have St. John's wort, peonies, mugwort, vervain, and thyme. Trees for summer solstice are the mighty oak. Remember, we've got those two battling it out. The fir, elder, pine, and rowan. Our animals are going to be the beautiful, gracious butterflies, bees, horses and cattle, snakes, robins, and wrens, and sea creatures. Mythical creatures, call up the fairies. First and foremost, it's about the fae and fairies. But we also have dragons, which we love, manticores, which, have the body of a lion, the face of a man, known to have a sting of a scorpion, and firebirds, which is a large bird whose feathers glow like the flames of a fire. And it's said that even if a firebird loses one of its feathers, the feather will continue to glow, and that one single feather can light up an entire room. For our deities, first and foremost, Mother Earth, but we also have Freya, Ray, and the sun. All right, what about working with Litha in our craft? It's a pretty common thought that most witches are truly connected to nature. And while all seasons bring their own uniqueness and specialties to our craft, there is no doubt that Mother Earth is in full swing during the summer. She is showing off her greatness and strutting her stuff when she's in her prime during these months. So it's all about the sun right now. And with the sun's power and its full strength, our magical abilities are also heightened. And since the sun is such a fiery energy, it won't surprise you that bonfires are a big part of Litha. And as much fun as they are under any circumstance, you guys know I'm a big fire girl, for our craft, bonfires are associated with magic. Now, for many pagans, summer solstice means evil spirits. And to help ward them off, rituals and spell work would be done around a bonfire. Also to help, garlands would be worn around the neck, made of protective flowers and herbs, which almost always included the St. John's wort herb. Now, the ashes from the Litha bonfire can be spread out in our gardens to help protect our plants and yard from anything bad happening over the summer months. If we follow the year and seasons in our craft, we are definitely at the highest point with energy. If you are a moon follower like me, this time of year would be kind of equivalent to the full moon stage. If you made goals during the new moon time, which would be like, December, January, this is when you would be checking in on them. See what you created for the new year and assess everything you have done since then, since those winter months. It's your halfway check-in point. And a side note, I did switch up the layout of upcoming episodes to include a full check-in with our New Year's goals and lists for next week's episode. So spring is all about the fae and fairies coming back, right? But summer celebrates them. We had a big thinning of the veil back on May 1st, which open things up for the fae and fairies. Now, fairies come from another world or, that in-between realm area. They have magical powers and come in many different forms, shapes, and sizes. For the most part, fairies tend to fall into one of, I think, three categories. Those who are very helpful to humans, those who are a bit more mischievous, but still helpful, and then those who are kind of dangerous to humans. Maybe not kind of, like they are. They're dangerous. So if you're able to go back to episode number 23, it's all about the fae and fairies. And I absolutely loved doing that episode. So I'm not going to repeat it here, but it's a good one to go back to and listen if you are interested in working with the fae. Now, what do fairies look like and what types are there? Oh, gosh, there are so many variables here. Most popular or well-known fairies are going to be gnomes, pixies, leprechauns, and elves. But we also have brownies, divas, banshee, dryads, kelpie, stay away from those scary fairies, kobolds, changelings, merfolk, nymphs, salamanders, seelie court, and selkie. Just be mindful when working with the fae. There is, in fact, a dark side to fairies, specifically the selkie. The quote-unquote nice fairies are known to be the garden fairies, the brownies, gnomes, dryads, and pixies. Not that they don't have their mischievous moments, but they are, in that good or nice category. So the summer months and Litha bring a time to leave the fairies treats and offerings. Now, if you are lucky to have them in your own yard and garden, now is a time to celebrate them. Remember, do not thank them. Rather, celebrate them. It's said on Litha, though, the fae actually come out as tricksters. So the light and the dark balance stirs up some, mischievous behavior in them, which we know they already have. But specifically on the 21st of June, they tend to come out and play tricks on us. So be careful. If you're looking to work with the fae and fairies for Litha and want to keep it light, maybe building a fairy house for your garden would be good, or, just presenting some general offerings to them. Just be careful either way. So Litha is a time to connect to nature. It's a time to meditate outside and bond with the earth element. For our practice and spell work, it's a wonderful time to focus on self-love rituals, fairy magic, protection spells, healing spells, both yourself and with relationships, and focus on personal growth. Summer is all about magical powers, so calling on ours front and center and working with love and nurturing ourselves and others is key. Other spells, good at this time are going to be ones for success and abundance. These summer months are all about watching those seeds, either literal or metaphorical, that we planted back in spring, grow and flourish. We can take that spirit of abundance and success and manifest it with the goals we made and create intentions of completing them. So Litha is a time of fire and water. So working with these two elements in our craft will be very powerful right now. It's a time for purifying and regenerating. For our practice, just remember it's a time of balance. It's the halfway point with the two solstices. This can be, a doorway, or a gateway, or a portal, if you will, to another place and time. This is a balance with light and dark and the swings it has each year. We are coming into the fire portion of the elements, the south. And Litha brings the power of sun and fire and heat into our energies, and working directly with them will help fuel our confidence, fuel our passion, and our enthusiasm. It's a time to be present. It's a time to be mindful and watch the plants and flowers bloom and mature. Now, have you ever made a witch's ladder? So I have not, but it is something I'll be personally doing for Litha. It's a great form of knot magic and is the act of braiding and creating knots with strands of ribbon or fabric and herbs like maybe rosemary or lavender, and also charms and bells, all in celebration of Litha. But as you're doing it, you're putting some very specific intentions and energy into the knots. So depending on how big I make my witch's ladder, I might be able to use it as a garland headpiece with some of my summer spells. So either way, I'm excited. All right, what about bringing Litha into the office? Since Litha is all about being outside and celebrating nature, it may seem a little difficult to bridge that gap and bring all of that energy into the office, but we can. And I pulled 13 things we can specifically do on Wednesday, the 21st of June. Number 1, wake up early and watch the sun rise. Number 2, before you leave for work, put a big jar of water outside to soak up the sun's rays all day long while you work. 3, bring flowers into the office, specifically big bouquets of sunflowers if you can. 4, Litha is all about embracing the light in the sun, so open things up on the 21st. Open the windows, open the blinds, and let the sun in. 5, make your afternoon tea with a little bit of sun water. Let the power of the sun, that day fuel your glass of water for a couple hours or even just a little bit around noonish, and then use it for your tea or afternoon drink. 6, light a candle. Yes, I know, the office is not always easy for candle lighting, but it is a great time to honor the sun and fire element by lighting a candle. You'll want a gold, yellow, or red candle for this, and if you can't light one, bring in a battery-powered candle for your desk. Even if it's a little tea light candle, it'll work. 7, bring the earth in. Now we can do this by easily adding a plant or some flowers, or even a planted herb to our office and our desk. 8, the sun is a masculine energy, so on the 21st, power up. Let's go. If you're working that day, boss it up and pull from your inner power to get stuff done and add value to your work. 9, for your lunch break, head outside and go for a midday walk. If you can, take off your shoes and touch the earth. Halfway through your walk, take a moment and give yourself praise and self-love. 10, take a moment in the afternoon and think about the balance in your life. How we're, at that halfway point and crossing a bridge to the other half. What part of your list and goals for the office have yet to be completed? What do you still need to do during this second half? Maybe what you need to leave behind as you cross over. 11, after work, celebrate Litha with a feast. Go out to dinner or maybe even host a small dinner party at your home. For the working folks, potlucks are probably going to be easier for this one to help distribute the workload. But either way, holidays are a perfect time to celebrate with food. 12, end the evening by grabbing your sun water that you put out before you left for work and treat yourself to a sun water bath. This special Litha bath can have added power by, focusing on the light within you and all of the beauty that you have. Self-love and self-care is so very important, and the summer solstice is a perfect time to take a moment at the end of our day to celebrate us. Lastly, 13, when you go to bed on the night of the 21st, put a flower under your pillow to bring love into your dreams. Now it's said that a dream you have on Litha is an omen, so try to remember it. Write it down or do something so you can make sense of the message the next day. All right, I do have a poem to read for today's episode, and it is a William Shakespeare poem. So I'm going to go grab it, and I will be right back. All right, I have my poem, and I just couldn't resist. This is from A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. And it's from a wood near Athens, a fairy speaks. Over hill, over dale, thorough bush, thorough briar, over park, over pale, thorough flood, thorough fire. I do wander everywhere, swifter than the moon's sphere, and I serve the fairy queen to dew her orbs upon the green. The cowslips tall her pensioners be, in their gold coat spots you'll see. Those rubies, fairy favors, in those freckles live their savors. I must go seek some dewdrops here, and hang a pearl in every cowslip's ear. Farewell, thou lob of spirits, I'll be gone, or our queen and all her elves come here anon. Well, that is all I have for you this week. As mentioned, I did switch the episodes a little bit so I could fit in our halfway check-in with the lists and goals we made back in December and January for the new year. So we'll be diving into them next week and some good tips and tricks on how we can tweak them and give another round of energy and motivation to help accomplish everything we wanted to do. I definitely wanted to say to everyone, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support. Till next week, have a great week and weekend, and I'll talk with you then. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.